and then serve jail terms and go for it, because there is an active process. The Attorney General has instituted an active process of recovering, tracing these monies. So I would say that whether you do it voluntarily or not, we would do whatever it takes in the name of the Republic of Ghana to retrieve every pesewa that we can from private hands and restore those monies to the people of Ghana and to the taxpayers of this country.
I think for the purposes of clarity, are you making the point that we will not see the AG hold a press conference as we have seen in the time past?
No, the press conference is not. The AG will hold press conference when the need arises. In this particular case, we believe that the issues are already in the public. You journalists are very much aware of the SkyTrain issue. It was first raised in the Auditor General's report, so I don't think anyone is in a doubt as to the facts of this case. So there may not be any press conference on this. But where there's a new case which will require thorough briefing, we believe that the people of this country are entitled to know every bit of what we are doing with the power they have given us. So we'll hold press conference when the need arises.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So that is the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Sramsai. He is just leaving the court premises. The news we have is that the former CEO of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, he's been brought to court. He's been granted bail. He's been charged together with the former board of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Professor Christopher Ameyaw-Akumfi, with 6 counts of woefully causing financial loss to the state, as well as dissipation of public funds, as well as conspiracy to commit crime, to which woefully causing financial loss to the state, as well as dissipation of public funds. Now, this is in relation to some $2 million that was transferred into the account of a company registered in the Seychelles for the purpose of constructing a sky train. You would recall that former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had promised, and the government had promised, the construction of sky train. So as part of processes of constructing that sky train, the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund was established, and engagements were held with a company established in the Seychelles for the purposes of putting up their sky train. The said company, Africa Holdings Limited, was supposed to be to design, build, and operate the sky train. But as part of the Ghana government, through the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, was to have 10% of the shares. And so after an agreement was reached between the government of Ghana through GIF as well as the Africa Holding Limited, there was a request from the company in Seychelles for the government of Ghana to pay $2 million for a transfer of 10% of the shares. The money, we are told, was transferred from the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund account to the account of the Africa Holding Limited. And that $2 million was supposed to be for the purposes of buying the 10% shares. But what we are told by prosecutors is that the transfer of the money did not receive any board approval. Neither was there any due diligence that was done by the board and the accused persons. The state has told the court that other board members who were inquired in their investigative caution statement noted that there was no point where such a matter was tabled before the board for deliberation or approval. According to the facts of the case as presented in court, we are told the second accused, as Professor Christopher Ameyaw-Akumfi, indicated to the police that he signed based on a recommendation by the first accused person. The first accused person, he has pleaded not guilty to the charges. He's been granted bail to the tune of 15 million Ghana cedis with two sureties to be justified with landed properties in Accra. Professor Ameyaw-Akumfi, on the other hand, is yet to take his plea because he was absent in court today. And as we have been told in court, this is because of a medical emergency. Hence, the case had been adjourned to May 20, following which the plea of Professor Christopher Ameyaw-Akumfi will be taken, and then the court will then give further directions for the filing of disclosures and the case management conference. But when we spoke to the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Shremsai, he indicated to us that the state, as the Attorney General has always indicated, is ever ready to negotiate with anybody who is standing trial, who is accused of having caused some financial loss to the state, or even in the extreme instance have stolen some money from the state, and is willing to undertake a plea bargain to bring the money for the state to be able to recover some funds. And so he has given indication that the state is available for a plea bargain for the two accused persons, any other person who is being investigated or being tried by the state. He's also indicated to us that when it comes to whether monies were actually paid to this Africa Holding Limited, or the Africa Holding Limited actually existed, it is up to the defense to prove that. But what the state concerns itself is that there's evidence that some $2 million moved from the account of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund to that of the Africa Holding Limited, with no work done, with no due diligence, and with no authorization. And in the view of the state, this is woefully causing financial loss to the state. This is dissipation of public funds, which, in the view of the state, the two accused persons ought to answer before the court. The case is before the Criminal Court 4, and on May 20, we'll be here to bring you details as to whether Professor Christopher Ameyaw-Akumfi, the former board chair of GIF, will be able to make himself available to the court to take his plea and the further directions that will be given by the court.
Welcome back from the court complex here in Accra. That was our court correspondent, Hanson Agyemang, providing us up to speed with events that happened there in court today. The story is that Professor Ameyaw-Akumfi, former education minister and former board chair of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund and former chief executive of the fund, Solomon Asamoah, are on trial, and this is in relation to the $2 million SkyTrain saga. The state has preferred some counts against them, and the former chief executive has been granted $2 million CD bail today. Professor Ameyaw-Akumfi, though, he was not present in court because he had some surgery yesterday. The case has since been adjourned. This is still Channel 1 TV. Up next is Newsfeed. You're welcome again. This is Newsfeed on Channel 1 TV. I have Charles Osukumi. Coming up in the bulletin, government pledges to settle growing debt crisis in the energy sector by end of the year. Also in the bulletin, New Patriotic Party accuses acting CEO of Gold Board Sammy Gyamfi of extravagance. And in business, stakeholders rally support to drive youth enterprises in the informal sector. And later in sports, attitude of Black Satellites questioned after Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations failure. Let's now settle for the details of our stories. Now, the government says it is taking urgent steps to address the growing debt in the energy sector, which currently stands at 80 billion cedis. Speaking at the Africa CEO Summit in Abidjan, President John Dramani Mahama assured that significant payments will be made by the end of the year this year. He noted that the government is in active talks with stakeholders, including independent power producers, to clear arrears and maintain a stable power supply.
The energy sector has been number one in terms of priority on my, to be divine about it, my second coming. And so
it's been a good second coming, I'd say.
Well, Jesus is coming too, so.
That's true.
And so on my second coming, we messed up energy sector with debts of almost 2.5 billion owed to independent power producers, to gas suppliers and everybody. And so what the previous government started it, but we're continuing it. They've been trying to renegotiate the debt and then see how